Welcome to Charmed Life, a radio show discussing spirituality, magic, and the unconditional love of the universe. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm your host, Tricia Carr. Thank you for being here with me today. I am doing this show solo. I haven't done that in a while. And as I said when I advertised the show, or just, notified everyone about it on social media, it seemed to be at the request of the universe. Not to sound too bold, but at the same time to sound bold, because we are all magical. We are all gods. We are all creating this together. And so I trust and I believe and I live the fact that the perfect synchronism is in alignment for this show and for everyone that is watching in all time and space. And however you are watching, I would love to tell you about the other ways that you are watching or listening. If you are on the iTunes or iHeartRadio podcast, then know that you can also catch the archive on youtube.com/Tricia Carr. I have other videos up there as well, and vice versa, obviously. And then if you are watching or listening to an archive on YouTube or on iTunes, or on a podcast, I should say, then you can always catch us live. We are live at 11 a.m. Pacific every Sunday from the Universal Broadcasting Network studios in Hollywood, California. And so you can catch it live by going to ubnradio.com/channel 1. And also just by following me on any of my social media platforms. So that would be Twitter at Tricia Carr Charm, or at Charmed Life 1111, or on my Facebook pages. I'm going to start doing some Instagram too. I haven't really gotten into that, but I do love the visual application and love engaging in that way. And I think a lot of other people do too. So I'm going to start. That was wild. Let's take a moment to just talk about how wild that was. Thanks for fixing that, Jarvis. Jarvis Essex, my producer. And you know what? I'm not going to edit it out. I'm just going to leave it because it was kind of wild. It was some kind of weird attunement. Jarvis is I'm not even kidding. That was some kind of crazy attunement. You know what that was reminding us of? Eternity. Timelessness. I'm not even kidding. It reminded me, didn't it feel like when you are in the mirror and two mirrors that are parallel and you're the Rockettes all on your own? And this episode is actually all about attuning, actually. It is a transmission that I'm going to be offering as the vessel. I'll be offering it as a channel, and I do endeavor. I state aloud and I declare that I endeavor to be a clear channel for this episode. If my microphone will agree with me. Well, before I get to the topic today, I do want to say hello to the Lightworkers Lab. That is the online spiritual community hosted on Facebook, founded by my friend Crystal Ann Compton, in which I am a teacher and a guide. If you are looking for a spiritual community, if you are just looking for an amazing place to grow in your intuitive development, your spiritual development, fellowship, resources, I do encourage you to find it on Facebook. That's the Lightworkers Lab. And also, I have a Facebook group. Go to facebook.com/group/charmedlifelove. And I want to share with you all, since I'm doing this show solo, and before I get to the transmission, the channeled message from Archangel Ariel and the Council of Divine Lyran Masters, as they have identified themselves to me. It's a portion of the Intergalactic Council. I'm going to talk about what all those things mean. If they seem esoteric to you, don't worry. We're gonna feel our way into it. I want to share with you what I've been doing, though. I have been teaching a program with Crystal Ann Compton, who is also an intuitive channel and spiritual teacher. She's been on the show several times, so if you've watched the show before or listened to the show before, then you've probably caught Crystal on with me, my BFF, my I don't know what else to call her. And we're teaching a program together. It's an intuitive development program. It's called the 2018 Intuitive Intensive. And what's amazing about it, what I wanted to share with you guys is my experience with it. I'm one of the teachers, but I am being utilized. I'm being taught. I'm receiving the development myself. And it's just a testament to what coming together is all about. The way that we have been teaching the program, I actually helm the portion where I'm teaching about the chakras, the chakra system. And it's a way to actually align with development in a very natural way. The chakra system is not just something that is from, Indian religion, like Hinduism, or, it's been something that we have known for thousands of years, I think. And it is, like I say, very natural, the way that nature really develops. Animals have the same chakra system, plant life, trees. And it's actually other branches of thought, like Abraham Maslow's pyramid of self-actualization, I think it's called, resembles very much the chakra system. And as we've been going through the weeks or week before we head into a new chakra, something happens to me in alignment with that chakra, with that stage of development. So before we started the program, obviously the first chakra, or whether you know the chakra, maybe it's not obvious if you're not really familiar with it. The root chakra in our, the 7 basic chakras or major chakras that are aligned with the physical body. Root chakra is the base one. It's the first one. And root chakra has to do with survival and, just being here, that first stage of development. Well, before so then like things like money would be a part of that, because in this experience, we think about money as our key to freedom and just survival once we leave the parents. And so before the program began, I had 2 things happen that had to do with root chakra. And I'll also want to preface this by telling you that as a mind-body-spirit complex, we are mind-body-spirit, and they work together seamlessly, one flowing to the other. Non-physical, however, actually precedes physical. So what happens in the mind and the spirit then eventually becomes physical. This is just how manifestation works. And so when our bodies experience something, when our bodies have something that we may say is illness or injury, however it may happen, we can thank our bodies, because the body is actually taking energy that wants to be off-gassed. Energy from the non-physical is being expressed out and moved out, as the body is the last stop in the manifestation formula of mind, body, spirit, or mind, spirit, body, or spirit, mind, body. We always say mind, body, spirit, but it's not actually the chronological ordering of manifestation. Or I guess it is. It's cyclical, because as the body decomposes, then it's expressed back into spirit. It's released back into spirit or non-physical. Anyway, so some of the things that have happened to me will be physical. And we can look at this. This is a message that I was asked to help some of us understand today, because I know that we feel sometimes when something happens to our body, we reject our body and we feel at odds with our body. But we can actually love our bodies for being that servant of moving us through something that wants to be expressed, something that our inner being is saying, this energy is no longer serving. And so it may be toxic, it may be stagnant, it may be just a collection that needs to be released from the physical plane back into spirit, back into neutral energy, transmuted. Before root chakra, I had a positive thing, we would say, happen, which was suddenly, for seemingly out of the blue, I had a fantastic financial few weeks, like really amazing. And then what we may say is negative, I had this wild, just completely non sequitur anxiety about work, about career, about survival. It was so anomalous. It was so like out of the blue. I mean, I couldn't sleep, and I would wake up in the morning. My husband's like, how'd you sleep? And I said, I didn't, because I was just anxious. And he's like, why? Well, what's happening today? Why did you have all that anxiety? And I said, nothing. It's insanity. It makes no sense. Nothing is happening today. It's craziness. And it actually led up to a specific event. When that particular event happened, about which I was blaming for all this anxiety, the event actually ended up being something that was, again, a financial boon. So it was completely insane. Then we began. All of that stuff is root chakra oriented. And then the week or so where I was actually still teaching about root, but I'm starting, the next week is going to be sacral. Sacral is the plane of pleasure, sexuality, and what on the shadow side could be addiction, but also the seat of the emotions and the creativity. And I did have some wild creative stuff going on with me, but I also had a very, very painful menstrual cycle. Really, really debilitating, so clearly, those organs that are seated right there in that creative center where the sacral chakra is, those organs were off-gassing some energy that needed to be moved out of my energetic system. Then the week prior to solar plexus, so again, I'm the teacher of it, so it's like my system is working a week in advance, so then I could have a cleaner slate to be able to lead others through their development of these certain areas. Before solar plexus, which is right there in the gut, my gut completely shut down. I was in bed for 2 full days. And in addition, I had a really, the gut being, the third dimension, the third chakra is about about relationships too. And I had a kind of come to Jesus moment with a really important lifelong relationship. And I just recognized the state of that relationship and had been in denial about it. So those 2 things happened. And now, last week, we were leading up to heart chakra. So last week, the heart chakra actually, obviously, it's love. It's unconditional love, and it's the plane of love, and in spirituality, the 4th dimension. And the shadow or the demon, we would say, not like the evil creatures, but, like the antithesis of that is grief. And so last week, the week leading up to working on the heart chakra, one of my birds died. Excuse me. And so there's some grief for you. And moved out that more than just saying goodbye to my bird Lalo. You want to know what Lalo's full name is, Jarvis? His name is Eduardo, which and short for Eduardo is Lalo. Eduardo Lalo Birdnandas Carr. So I love you, Lalo. Thank you for being on the spirit side for me now. And he is, after he does some of his growth and, the life review that we do when we're on the other side, he is going to help me with my animal communication. So that's wonderful, and I appreciate that. And then, because Francis, his partner, was surviving, I had to get him some family members. And when Francis first came home to to our family, and Lalo was there, Francis was like, because I'm an animal communicator, in case you don't know that about me, if it's your first time. And I asked Francis, how do you like your home? What's going on? And he asked me, so there's just like one bird here? Like, that's weird. Why is there one bird? And I'm like, oh, okay, you want a lot of birds? He's like, yeah, like a lot of birds, please. And I asked Lalo, and Lalo was like, let's get cool with this guy first. So I never really added a lot of birds. So I gave Francis told me after Lalo passed that he wanted one day to sing for him, which I thought was really beautiful. And then the next morning he woke up super anxious, like, dude, I'm all alone. This is crazy. I'm a bird. I need family. I need a flock. And so I added 4 birds to our bird family. And now we have 5 birds and 6 cats. And so I'm grieving. I lost 1 bird, and then I added a lot of beings to the family. So that's some heart chakra work, I think so. And I'm just sharing all of this with you, like I say, just to catch up, since we haven't been on a show together, just me with you. And I wanted to let you know what's going on with me, and just to give you a little lesson about how your body is a magical component to manifestation, and it is working with you and for you to heal you and to lead you into your higher purpose. And that's my story. Before I get into the transmission from Archangel Ariel and the Divine Lyran Council, I want to take a moment to tell you about our sponsor today. And I really do love this company because I think they're a fantastic company to help you stay in alignment with the physical body and with the planet, because it is HelloFresh. It is really a wonderful way to keep you in a regular kind of pace of being healthy and serving yourself, and for engaging in this experience in a loving manner by taking care of yourself and taking care of the planet, as opposed to some things that are more artificial. Well, HelloFresh is what I like to think of your weeknight dinner solution. It makes it really easy to cook delicious, balanced dinners for less than $10 a meal, which I think is incredible. incredible. It's hard to believe that they're less than $10 a meal because they are really delicious. We're all so busy, and this is truly a way to stay healthy and also to stay creative. A lot of sacral chakra work there too. You could try things that you never think to cook on your own, and that I'm a great cook, but I get in a rut. So it helps to relieve you of those domestic blinders about what do we get tonight? Well, let's just go to the fast food. No, don't do that. You can eat outside your comfort zone, but in a comfortable way. You can choose your delivery day for when it works best for your very busy schedule. You won't spend all night in the kitchen because the recipes are really easy. They all take around 30 minutes. And getting in the car and going to that fast food restaurant is going to take you 30 minutes. So you might as well enjoy it and engage with the ingredients. They have 3 plans. You could choose from classic, veggie, and family, which is awesome. They're all balanced, very, very balanced, and delicious and satisfying. I recently had one that was a greens and farro bowl with asparagus, zucchini, walnuts. It's the meal that I had was for 2, which is great because it's my husband and me. And I don't eat grain, but he does. So I was actually able to make 2 different plates in a way that would really satisfy both of us. And I loved that. So for $30 off your first week of HelloFresh, visit HelloFresh.com and enter the promo code CharmedLife30. So again, that's HelloFresh, HelloFresh.com. Enter CharmedLife30 for $30 off your first week of HelloFresh. And we're back to the show. Thank you again for being here with us. I hope that this is going to strike the chord with you, this message today. It was, as we say, it was channeled. And channeling is something that everyone does, quite honestly. When you are bringing something from the non-physical space to the physical, something that is inspired. So everyone is truly a channel. And this is something that has been on my heart for a while, communing with Lyrans, who are beings of 5th and 6th dimensionality from the Lyra star system, or the constellation of Lyra. And Lyrans there's a race of bipedal lion people. So these are humanoid sort of beings who resemble lions and are cats here on Earth. And they were actually a part of seeding the planet Earth. They and Pleiadians and I think some others, but who knows for sure? People receive different information when you communicate with these beings. So yes, we are talking about ETs. And ETs are just as vast, if not more so, in their benevolence or malevolence as humans. So if it weirds you out, you're thinking, well, I thought this was a spiritual show. Well, trust me, it is. And these beings, we have many galactic partners who are more ascended, more oriented to divine and unity, source energy, you would say, God. And they are interested in our ascension, in helping us, because we were once much more aligned. We were once, you've heard of probably Lemuria or Atlantis, and this, I think, over about 13,000 years ago. And we were much more in harmony, and we had much less of the discordant types of experiences. Let's just say that. And at some point, we devolved. And so we are evolving again. We are ascending, and we're heading up this more collective, enlightened path. And there are many galactic partners, like I say, like the Lyrans, who are interested and who are helping and inspiring and coming close to us. So these are the Lyrans. The ones that I was communicating with, just divine Lyran masters. That's kind of just really nameless, but I do understand that they are a part of the Intergalactic Council, some of these beings. Intergalactic Council is sort of like this council that oversees a lot of this interest in harmony and ascension. And there's Archangel Ariel. If you're not familiar with this being, she actually is oriented, and somehow I don't completely understand it. And I like to never claim that I ever entirely understand it, because when I insist that I know everything, then I'll stop learning. But Ariel is associated with the constellation of Lyra. Ariel is the lioness of God, as she's called, and she is the overseer and keeper of the earth realm, the animals, and the planet. in addition to that, the sensitive humans, particularly the ones who have come into this time, if you're here at this time, it's because you have a big purpose in your blueprint, in your soul blueprint. And so the people that are more cognizant of that, some of us may be feeling more dissonance with what's happening in the world. And Archangel Ariel is looking out for us and believing in us to be the ones who are going to help us to ascend and restore. And so I channeled this yesterday, meaning it was automatic writing as my meditation was going on. And so I'm going to read it straight through, and it will act as an energetic attunement. And so if the words are not making the most sense to you consciously, then release the linear grasp of it and let it serve as a vibration that can attune you. Humans of Earth, recognize now that you are not separate from the parts of your world. Your world is alive. Every element, every plant, animal is alive, feeling and sentient. Everything is on purpose from God. The buildings in which you dwell, you compose these of the very bodies of conscious beings, be they wood or stone, water or air. The air you bring into your body is the very breath of your guardian archangel, Gaia, the sacred breath of life you receive, and then transform into new energy. The air, every spoonful you receive, it is specifically alive, like any friend you've ever known. Now, recognize that when consumption is done in love and awareness of the life force, it is well. When this is done unconsciously, when the elements are disregarded, and when they are changed into forms that are far from the original creation, such as genetic modification, that which you recognize to be toxic and or artificial, this is damaging, and your wise bodies inform you of this. This is engaging in a matrix of suffering and lack. This is separation consciousness, a paradox that selects pain. And a bit of off-book transmission comes through now at this moment. And this speaks to what your religions have incorrect about a concept called original sin. Your religions call original sin something that has to do with an angry God judging humans, when in fact anything that could resemble the idea of original sin is when the human judges the self, when the human engages in blame, guilt, regret, and judgment. This is the root of fear. This is denying and disowning the self. The very act of judging the self or judging another because another is the self, another is the same as you. When you are in judgment, when you are in rejection of yourself or of another, this is blame, guilt, and shame. Then you are the embodiment of original sin. It is stepping away from the truth of who you are, which is unity, which is whole, which is the essence of a true God. It is deep into contrast in a manner that causes the experiences of imprisonment. This is the energetic equivalent to creating demons and evil. It is the insidious root of evil, in quotation marks, evil, as it is slyly holding your body, going into your body and beckoning you to create more. Now, in this moment, access who you are. Disidentify from fear, shame, and guilt about your having engaged in this anti-creative matrix of suffering. The way to be responsible is to be aware and awake. This is awakening. See your part of the alive and feeling field of animal, element, and plant. Be in your higher mind of awareness that chooses in the moment not in the lower mind of shame, fear, guilt, and blame. That is out of the present moment. This is another insidious portal back into the pain matrix, the lower mind pull that counts wrongs of the past and chooses overwhelm of what is wrong about the future. I'm going to repeat that. The lower mind pull that counts wrongs of the past and chooses overwhelm of what is wrong about the future. Stay awake. Stay in access of your truth of connection to the feeling field. Stay a part of your guardian Gaia. Feel her support. She is no victim. She is your strength. You are her beauty, her body, her manifested aspects. Stay in access of truth. Stay now. Honor the choice you have in this moment and sustain this intention. You have the power in this moment to experience a quantum leap. We stand at your side, offering the vibration of your truth, this now. We hold you in compassion and ask you do the same. And so, compassion is the portal to freedom and truth. Compassion for the self, compassion for others. This is healing. To staying in your higher form and awareness, compassion. Look to this moment for God. Now is where God is. Now is source. Stay in this now. Make the choices that you can make from awareness of the alive and conscious field. Rebuke shame, guilt, and blame as it approaches, and bless all of the choices you make. All of the choices you make. To be in denial of your creations, that is, your choices, is to choose insanity. Make the whole choices that you can. Then visit your intention. Visit that intention that is blessed. And then love and bless the choices you make in the moment. Any non-holistic choice you must make can be aligned and healed by visiting your intention and blessing the choice from the space of higher awareness. To do this as your lifestyle, presence is required, and this will deepen your presence. You will live each moment as a prayer and as light. It is your soul's blueprint to do so. That's the end of the transmission. And I'll go back and just expound upon some of that. I entitled this episode that it was a message on animism and awakening. So the word animism is the concept that everything is alive. It's interesting. I've always just experienced that or believed it, I guess you would say, but I didn't realize that it was something that was considered sort of a spiritual or religious adaptation. It's something that is associated with indigenous people, American Indians, as we call them, believing and understanding, rather than believing, I'm going to say understanding, that absolutely every element, even the air that separates you from the plant and the plant herself, is alive and sentient, is conscious, has a purpose, just like humans. And just because we look at a plant and it doesn't relate and it communicate in the same way that humans do, it doesn't have the same composition, it doesn't have a face, doesn't mean that it doesn't have a purpose and it doesn't have a heart and desire, and that it doesn't think and feel. It does. And so that's the concept of animism, and the idea of staying awake is staying in the now. And I just want to break down the formula that basically is offered here. We have a world in which we live, and sometimes if we are looking at our diet and we say, well, the food industry has all of this evil stuff going on, the way animals are treated, and that's true. And to have a heart for that is beautiful. But when we start to engage in that understanding by blaming and by being in fear and starting to fight for a cause and be angry, this actually takes us out of the solution. This takes us out of now. And it puts us in the fear and pain matrix of belief. And so making the choices that you have before you, let's just take that concept of choosing a meal. Let's say you're traveling. And so you've gone on a trip from a very loving place to experience, perhaps to do something really wonderful and to celebrate life and to connect. That's beautiful. That's your intention. That's your base intention. So this is visit the intention. The intention there is loving. Continue to visit it and know the love from which you are moving, and continue to affirm it. But you're on this trip, and you don't know where the vegetables come from, if they are organic or if they're genetically modified. You don't know if you eat meat, you don't know where the meat comes from, if the animal was treated well, but you have only the choices that you can make. Make them in love. Bless the actual food. This is an example, but it's a very strong example of what we're talking about. Bless the food, and if somehow those vegetables were non-organic, your blessing of them, because we are connecting to divine, we are connecting to eternity. In eternity, there is no time. So as we bless the food, we actually heal it in all time and space. As we bless the animal flesh that we partake, we are redeeming it. The animal has already sacrificed its life. The animal's life has already been given. The plant's life has already been given. And so if this is available, we bless it and we redeem anything that could possibly have been done by other hands of fear, shame, guilt, and blame. And we stay, and I loved the words, rebuke fear, shame, guilt, and blame. When they start to come to you, you have the choice to rebuke them or to say no to those feelings, to those emotions. And usually this is something that we do with ourselves, because we have this conditioning, this collective thought that we're supposed to shame ourselves into being better. And that is insanity. Shaming yourself is to disown yourself. So how could you possibly become better if you're disowning yourself? So that example is the perfect everything that we do. The homes in which we live, they're made of trees. Do we know if the trees are sustainable? No, we don't. But the choice isn't to actually feel guilty about it or feel in blame and anger about it. The choice, better yet, is to just deepen your awareness of it. Bless the home that you have available to you. And in your blessing, know that if there was anything done that was unconscious to the trees or the stones or whatever components make up your home, that you can, with your awareness, bless it and redeem it. And so make the choices as you can. If you continue to stay in that conscious awareness of the fact that everything is alive and that I want to be in a home that is made of trees that were harvested consciously and lovingly and sustainably, then the way that you can actually get on path to that is to continue to have the awareness of it. And then eventually maybe the next home that you're able to live in will be that home with consciously selected elements. By the way, I would love to open the phone lines, 323-524-2599. 323-524-2599. I'm not sure how much time we have. Jarvis, how much time do we have left? Oh, cool. Okay. We started late, so I wasn't really sure. 323-524-2599. And so, this is basically the formula that's been given. We stand in the present moment in acceptance of the self, in acceptance of our brethren. And the brethren, not only the humans, but meaning all of the elements that are available to us, the food, anything that is offering its energy for our sustenance. So that could be this table. I mean, this table is made of some kind of artificial, I don't know, Formica crap. But I'm not mad at Tony for choosing it. And I'm also not going to be here because of it. But I can bless the elements of this table and be here anyway, and love Tony, and love this table, and love all of the hands that composed it. And this love goes back into time and space. And this can bless, though everyone has free will, of course, but it can bless the elements, redeem the ones that were used and made into far forms of what is natural. And it can actually redeem them and transform them. And so the part where it said that the genetic modification and the artificial and the sort of toxic things that we are doing, again, this isn't some fight to fight and to get angry about. That brings you into unconsciousness. It brings you into disowning the self and disowning other humans. And basically another thing that it does is it casts victimhood upon those who we are supposedly fighting for. And who wants to be identified as a victim all the time? The transmission said, Gaia is no victim. So those who love the earth and are working for the wellness of the planet, to see the earth as a victim all the time is to actually disempower your partnership with the earth or with animals or with plants. So we want to be empowered in ourselves, and to allow our partners, whether it be the earth, the plants, or the animals, to be empowered as well. This is how we deepen our awareness, and this is how we actually impact and affect real change. But we must stay present for that. We must stay in acceptance of ourselves and this present moment. And so this idea of how the genetic modification, the toxic, all those are obvious things that how that is akin to what we would say evil. Again, evil is a word that is used by religion, and it's something that is heavily laden with judgment. And in this transmission, the reason this word evil was chosen is as a way to almost redeem the word evil and to bring it back, to realize that when we get far from creation, when we take something so far away from its natural composition, then this is something that is it's actually no longer existing on all dimensions. Like this table, this Formica table, it doesn't exist on all dimensions, not like the tree does. Not like I do, because we were made of source energy, creative source. So we've taken all of these elements that are natural, and when we put them together so many times, it's essentially creating a thought form from the human experience, and it's not going to be in all of the dimensions of creation. It's kind of a crazy concept. You getting that, Jarvis? Is that making some sense? Yeah, and so one note about something that's practical, about what we can do so far as disengaging from a matrix of pain and staying, obviously, in the matrix of acceptance and love. We can make some small changes, and you guys probably that I work with nature elements, the nature spirits, elemental beings, and something that a nature elemental, in particular, it was an earth elemental who was akin to some kind of a gnome, in the area of a gnome. He didn't really explain it, but he did tell me his name is Franklin. I think I talked about Franklin on the show before. Franklin has asked, and I haven't really talked about it much. I think I mentioned it just a little bit last week. Franklin has said that one choice that we can kind of easily make is to not drink soda. Now, this is kind of crazy in this episode, since I'm talking about, intergalactic councils of divine Lyran, lion people, Archangel, Ariel. Stop drinking soda. But it's actually a kind of easy choice, because obviously we need water, we need hydration. And water is like the blood. As air is the life breath of Gaia and of you, water is like the life blood of Gaia, the element of water. So not only displacing any soda that you're drinking with water, making you healthier in your entire mind, body, spirit complex, but there is something about the soda which has, almost all of them have high fructose corn syrup in it, which is that genetically modified thing. It's some kind of, and now I don't want to get conspiracy theory oriented, and I want to stay in love and not in shame, guilt, and fear. But we can do that. We could stay in fear. We can stay out of fear and look at fear. There's something about that genetic modification of the high fructose corn syrup, and particularly soda, I think, because soda is dressed up in such a cute label, and it's a lifestyle thing, that we're sold in commercialism. But it's actually a really easy thing we can omit from our experience. And there's something about it that is basically like being drugged up. Like the transmission said, it's insidious. And this was the insidious nature of consuming, bringing something into your body and paying money into it, and that is that kind of evil in which that it is something that is so far removed from a natural composition, so far removed from source energy. And steadily feeding that to ourselves is that kind of imprisonment, as if you were kidnapped and you were held in chains and doped up by a captor, but that captor is ourselves. And so we can release ourselves. So it's a very small, little practical bit of advice. And again, not to shame yourself if today you have a soda. Absolutely not. But to start to allow the awareness of this is something I want to move away from. And then you can extend it to other choices that would omit high fructose corn syrup or other genetically modified foods. Continue to give yourself grace and stay in grace and stay in presence. And you can move forward into these choices lovingly and do the best you can. And bless all of the choices. If you do make that choice today to have soda, again, bless that choice. That's just really the truth of it, because that's the way that you stay present, and that's the way you can heal. Because when we are actually in this sort of frame of mind of blaming the self, then that actually engages us in addiction. It does. When, like, for example, I have some food intolerances, and when I engage in the food intolerances, it creates an imbalance in my system that makes me crave the things that I actually can't tolerate. That's just how when something is thrown way out of balance, then it swings back into balance kind of really far. Oh, by the way, I want to again say that I probably will have time for a call, 323-524-2599. I would love to talk to you if you have a question or if you want me to look into something intuitively. And so staying present with it and staying present with all the choices that you're making right now, staying in a blessed state with it, staying connected to the choices that you're making, and loving all of the elements and all of the people who are involved in them. I don't know why I keep talking in my own ear. I guess it's some kind of energetic attunement. And so back to the transmission, look to this moment for God. See, we have all of this pull out of the moment. When we look to the past and we say, we'll see what happened in the past, and so we're doomed. And that's a kind of insanity, because if you're able to look to the past, meaning that you are alive, then clearly you're not doomed. And so it's believing in something that isn't true. That is actually what is insanity. We look to the future and we say, how can we ever get it done? All of these things are happening. All of these scary things are happening to us. And I can't possibly change my life because there's too much to change. When those scripts go rampant, they're running in your mind, and you feel fearful and you feel guilty and shamed, then know that that is the lower mind. And you have the facility, not just the facility, you have the permission to pop up into higher mind. Pop up into that higher mind of awareness, feeling. So when I say feeling, so in regards to the higher mind, I'm not talking about emotions. I'm not talking about that kind of being out of whack with emotions and on this cycle of things. Emotions are just messengers, and they're important, but they aren't you. When I say feeling, I mean this just being state, really, just existing. And there's very little detail in that. It's a flow of rounded energy that is uplifted. It's bliss. And you have the permission to live your life there all the time. Even when tasks must be done that are detail-oriented, you can do that from the higher mind state that is free of the chattering of the lower mind. The lower mind that is talking to us about danger and the things that are wrong. You have the permission to release that. In this moment, I want you to feel that, if you can, please. You have the permission to release that and to stay in higher mind. And how do you do that? How do I stand in a day and be able to be free of the fear and the shame and the guilt and regret? Well, honestly, spending time with yourself and giving yourself time in each day to meditate, to feel your own essence, feel deeply into the truth of who you are. This is important. This actually tells the field, tells the manifesting plane, that I am important and I honor myself as a creator, to spend that time with yourself. This is the gift. Now, we think of meditation like eat your vegetables, and you should eat your vegetables, so should I. But meditation and devotional time is sacred. It is the beauty of being able to make contact with the truth of who you are. It's able to really feel yourself. We feel overwhelmed by the world. And how can I actually still my mind? I'm always in fear and anxiety. Well, the only way that you can truly know who you really are, because that's not who you are. That anxiety and that fear is not who you are, is to be able to spend quiet time with who you are. How could you possibly know your lover unless you spent quiet time with your lover? If you would just continually were standing in the middle of the, what do you call it, what is that, Wall Street, trading floor with your lover, or in a nightclub, you wouldn't get to know each other. There'd be too much going on to allow you to actually feel one another's true essences. And it's in the stillness, and it's in the quiet, or it's in the conversation, and that's prayer. That is a high vibrational, real prayer. Real prayer is about having a beautiful conversation with source energy, rather than having the begging and the pleading. That's just staying in lower mind. That's just spending a lot of time and what your day was already filled with, all of the anxiety. That's the conversation that we have with ourselves in love and in acceptance. That's what prayer really is. But truly, meditation, the time or I just call it devotional time, devoting time to yourself. And this could also be in the form of taking walks or doing things for yourself that are just for you, to serve yourself and to love yourself. That's what I call romance. And that's a bit different than quality time. Is it, making contact with the inner being, making contact with source energy. Self-romance is really important. Self-care. And all of these things help us to deepen our presence in every single moment of the day. Help us to come to that, understand how to click into that higher mind, so that when we have the choices to make, we're able to see where the more holistic choices are, and then bless all of the choices that are available to us. And that actually is our purpose. That is how we heal one another and we heal ourselves. That is how we ascend. It's how we evolve together. That's how we're going to heal. That is how we are healing what's happening in the world that's causing us fear, whether it's in politics or the other unspeakable things that are happening, where people and children and war and all, that are being harmed. That's how we actually heal them, is to love ourselves through to the wholeness. Love ourselves in this moment and then extend that love to our fellow man. That's the only way that we can possibly reach that redeemed state. That's the only way we can actually change hearts and minds, is to have compassion. That, as the transmission said, is the portal to freedom. Compassion. Compassion for yourself, compassion for another. So if you hate Donald Trump, the only way we're going to be better with this relationship with Donald Trump, or maybe you love him and you hate the other guy, I don't care, then the only way that you can actually be comfortable with what's happening in our political world and actually heal what's happening in politics, you on your own can heal it by having compassion for Donald Trump or whatever politician that you hate. I don't know. I don't care. Person B. I clearly don't, I don't engage in that. I'm not interested in it. That's someone else's problem. And I hope that they're doing it from a place of higher awareness, because I believe that's possible. All of the positions that have been created in this world, we all voted on them with our hearts and minds, or our actions or lack thereof. And so again, there is nothing in this world that can't be redeemed. There's nothing in this world that can't be loved and is not worthy of compassion. So again, I'm going to say compassion is the portal to freedom. Compassion is the portal to your truth, to your purpose, to the purpose that is on your soul. And with that, I think that we are just about out of time, and I'm going to welcome you back next week. Do we have calls? Oh, we do have calls? I'm sorry, Jarvis, I didn't realize that. And we're not out of time. No, let's take one. Okay, thank you, Jarvis. Well, I didn't know. Okay, great. Hi there, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hi, this is April Tipton.
Hi, April. How are you?
I'm good. I just first wanted to say I am so sorry about your bird.
Thank you.
I feel like you're such a beautiful energy, and I resonate with you so much. So thank you for taking my call.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for calling, April. Thank you for your...
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
I was saying thank you for your sympathy. I appreciate that.
I know, maybe just an intuitive insight on what you see as my next career path.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I see right now, it feels like you have some simplicity going on right now, and it's serving you really well. Does that make some sense to you when I say simplicity? There's some simplicity in the life, and you've quieted things down, and this is a good thing. This is actually helping you to... I know that there's still some things that are causing some anxiety, but know that when you're in that simple state, that quiet state, that this is actually your creative space, and it's okay to stay there, because I think there's sometimes guilt about that quiet space that you're having. And the next, so stay locked into that in a way that feels very empowered, is the word that I want to use. And I do feel animals. You've always wanted to work with animals, right?
I love animals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a nurse, so I work with people, but I'm not going to be able to really be doing that anymore. So I love nature.
You were considering, and something that's been on your mind is vet teching. I recognize something about vet teching, but that's not your only option. That isn't the thing that you have to go to because you're not able to do nursing anymore. Nature, mm-hmm. I actually can see that you can do something that is working with... is it like sanctuaries or something that is sort of nonprofit, and that you will be able to really blossom in your own gifts and in the talents that you have, and it actually brings some more of that simplicity into your experience. So you might start with actually volunteering, if you can find places that would volunteer, just to get sort of in the network of it. But I could see you going to school too and learning some things that spark your interest. Like you say, you love nature, and there are certain schools I know that have to do with, I don't know if it's like migration patterns or something like that. Have you heard of the animal communicator, Anna Breitenbach?
No.
Or it's Breitenbach. I would encourage you to go to her website just for inspiration, and you can also see the education that she's had, just to help you to open your mind up to the opportunities to be able to work with nature and to actually have a career that sustains you. But I really do think that doing some research like that will start to spark your creativity. But I do see you working with animals and nature, and that's why you're calling on this show too, because that's what we're talking about today, right?
Right.
And that's why you got through. And so if you're wondering about, how you're going to sustain yourself, I see how the nursing is winding down for you. It feels like there's about, as I look at your timeline in this moment, something about 3 months. And so for your own comfort, start to research some of these things now, because there's something in there that you're going to design for yourself. And it's going to feel really solid. It's going to feel more solid than the career has so far. But it's of your design and it's of your choosing. But I very much encouraged to work with nature and with animals. And if you're interested, the spiritual side of it, I don't know if you've seen my YouTube channel. I do have a few videos up there about animal communication and stuff like that. So again, Anna Breitenbach, look at her videos too, just to get you in the space of being able to work in and with nature and the spiritual side of it, as well as the, just the holistic side of it. But it doesn't all have to be in the realm of science, like vet teching and nursing and medicine. You can use that as a tool, but it doesn't have to be the only thing. We've kind of let science become our new religion. Would you agree? I'm sure as a nurse, you feel really stilted sometimes because you're like, it's more than just the medicine, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's a message that I think you have to bring forward is, yes, medicine is okay, but it's just like, if anything, it's one leg of the stool. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much more to the person and to the animal and to the nature, It's, again, even nature herself is mind, body, and spirit. Does that help?
That helps me so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling, April. Do I have another?
Okay, thanks. Bye.
I have another call. Okay, great. Let's take another caller. Hi, you're on the air. Who's this? Hello.
Hello?
There you are. Hi.
Hi.
Who's this?
Hi, Tricia. It's Tracy.
Oh, hi, Tracy. I know who you are. What's going on, honey? Thanks for calling.
Hi. Oh, my gosh. This is so funny. I had no idea if I was going to get on, and it's funny because listening to that last caller is amazing. I know how you always say things kind of speak to all of us. But one of the reasons I wanted to call is because I always have this question, and this whole Archangel Ariel and nature thing like speaks to me so much. And I was curious because one of the problems that I have is letting go of the judgment. Like, as you probably know, I mean, I'm such a lover of elephants and rhinos, and I get so upset with like all of the approaching crises and things like that. And I have a hard time coming out of that lower mind or vibration, judgment of, where these animal parts are ending up and what they're being used for and things like that. So how do I get myself out of that kind of lower vibration? And I think you did kind of answer a lot of that as I continued to listen while I was on hold. But I have a really hard time with that. How do I get myself out of that space of anger and judgment towards others? Because even if I try to feel compassion, I don't understand culturally how these things are allowed to happen, and it's such a huge crisis that can me having compassion for someone really change the planet? Because I guess I am one of those people that I'm always posting awareness things, because I feel like so many people aren't aware. So is that the wrong approach?
Well, I would say, okay, so first of all, like you said, where their body parts are winding up and all that kind of thing, chasing that down in the way that you are right now is actually kind of an addictive pull. You know what I mean? You feel that, you feel the details of it, and you feel how it interferes with you feeling okay, with you feeling a part of this world even. It makes you feel isolated. It makes you feel separated. It makes you recognize separation. So I would say, first of all, put down that habit right now. Go cold turkey. Stop following where their body parts wind up. And then the second thing I would say is take one person, and whether it's if there's some kind of awareness thing that has an actual human that's like, this human did this awful thing, take that person, or if you don't have a picture of an actual person who has done these atrocities, then imagine one. Pick one out in your mind's eye, dial into one with your feeling, and just that one individual, and have compassion for them. So know that the person who is doing this awful thing must be in some fear, anger, and confusion. The unconsciousness, the way this person is living, perhaps the way this person has been treated, what frame of mind, what frame of beliefs, what kind of hell is that person experiencing in order to be that unconscious and to not recognize what kind of lies has this person told and believed because they thought that was the way they needed to survive. You see how we can just deepen one person. So, the lower mind is the one that says there are so many details and we have to be freaked out by them. So simplify it. Go cold turkey about chasing those things down, and then find. And then so far as posting the awareness things, that was your other question, is then after you've done some of that work, go ahead and go cold turkey about that right now, because you need to get an adjustment. And being engaged in this, it's pulling you in a way that isn't helpful. And it's not helping the animals either, because actually there's something, thank you, I got that. Sorry, I'm listening to guides at the same time. Then, take a step back and find a way to feel compassion for one person, imaginary or real, because it's going to be real. We talk about how your imagination is real. You're going to, because compassion is real. And so you're going to create something that is real by finding a way to have compassion for this person who is quote unquote imaginary. And then after you're able to find that real healing space, you can ask questions, go into prayer or meditation and say, how can I help? I feel like I have a high vibrational call to do this. And then if it is something along the lines of the awareness, posting the awareness, posts or whatever it is, feel the vibration of those and see if they are compassionate, if they are oriented to the solution rather than being afraid of the problem. Does that help? I know it's got a few steps there, but you got kind of a mess going on, right? It's a bit of a tangle. You can untangle it. You can untangle it one little thing at a time.
It does help.
Okay, good. You can untangle it one little thing at a time. And so we're out of time, but I gotta get this one thing in. One last thing. There is this whole thing about people saying thoughts and prayers, and it's a bullshit thing to say, and we'll actually get out there and do something instead of this thoughts and prayers things. Well, the reason that we say thoughts and prayers, it's because we don't see a way that we can be physically involved right now, and thoughts and prayers are really having compassion and are truly energetically supporting. So this is something you can do, is actually lend your positively speaking, your positive energy. That is what is healing. And so find a way to do that. And I would say, so cold turkey right now, and then do your exercise to find compassion for one individual. And we can talk about it more later. All right. But thank you for caring, and thank you for your heart. And this is actually, Tracy, this is going to clean up the vibration for you to be able to help you to realign the work that you want to do too. Because right now it's impacting the vibration of that. And I know that's something that's important to you to figure that out. Well, thank you for calling, Tracy. And I now have gone overtime, even though I was going. You're welcome. Thank you. And so I do hope you all will join us next week. And I hope that you will bless the choices that you make and stay in alignment with that compassion portal. I'll see you next week at 11 a.m. Pacific on any of my social media platforms. And I love you. Thank you for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.